Ladies and gentlemen, on the 2nd of October, 2005, my son was born. And I can vividly remember that moment. The moment that you go into hospital with the two of you, and all of a sudden there's three. But the moment, the 24 hours prior to that fantastic, joyful moment, were not that easy. We had to go to hospital. There was a nurse. There was another nurse. There was a junior doctor. There was a doctor. Then came the senior doctor. And then, just a little bit before 10 o'clock, he was there. He was there. And the happiness that I felt at that moment, I will never forget. But not only the happiness because of becoming a father, also the happiness that the love and the respect that you feel for a woman. Because as a man, you have to sit there and say, honey, are you okay? She said, no. And there's nothing you can do. There's so much respect and love at that very moment. Now that night, on the 2nd of October 2005, I did not sleep a lot. And the next morning I had to go to the shop. And when I went to the shop, I was buying milk powder and diapers and what have you. Then all of a sudden I saw a sign which said, mugs for mommy, €3.45. And I looked at this mug, and the mug said, my mommy is the greatest. So I thought, I need this. So I bought this coffee mug. And I came home and I took the little baby from his bed, and I took his little arm, and with his arm, I gave this cup to mommy. And she saw this cup, and immediately she started crying, and I started crying, and the baby started crying. That was not the planning, but it was a very joyful moment. On the 19th of March, 2009, my daughter was born. And when she was born, and the same thing happened again. We went to hospital, there was a nurse, there was another nurse, there was a junior doctor, senior doctor, there was this whole thing again. And again, this joyful moment of becoming a father, and she was there. And the next day I went to the same shop, a little bit less insecure. I was walking around, and again I saw this sign, mugs for mommy, €3.45. And then I asked myself this question, what if? Because I didn't want to do the same thing again, buy the mug and give it to mommy. What if instead of giving this mug, I would give my wife $5. That the baby would take this in the hand and give the $5 bill to mommy. Well, economically speaking, it's the same. You know, this costs $5, this is $5. So what is the difference? Right? You know, it's the same thing. Well, I think this is one of those things that you definitely have to say, don't try this at home. Okay, don't do it. So I didn't try it. But I have reason to believe that she probably would have said, excuse me, wait a minute, are you giving me $5 for delivering a baby? First of all, your contribution to this whole process was limited anyway. Secondly, is this worth $5 to you? So it's most likely that, economically speaking, it is the same, but this would make her happy, and this not. But let's turn the scenery. Let's assume that this is my wife, and this is my child. And the same thing would happen. I would go to her and say, this is for you, because I have so much respect for you. How would she react? Well, most likely she would say, well, honey, thanks for the coffee mug, but we have nothing to put into it. So could you please go back to the shop and get my money back, because this will save the life of the child for at least a week. So thank you for this, but can you please take it back? Again, economically speaking, it's the same. But for her, for somebody who's in this situation, this means much more than this. And so I came to the question, does money make you happy? Yes, it does. If you need basic things. Does money make you happy? No. If your basic needs are fulfilled. And don't forget that in this world, on every day, 40,000 children die because their parents do not have the money to keep them alive. During this 12-minute talk, around 15 babies will die because they do not have enough to eat. Does money make you happy? Ladies and gentlemen, today we talk about the pyramid of Maslow, and as you can see here on the left-hand side, there's the pyramid of Maslow. Maslow was a psychologist, and he explained that there is a hierarchy of needs. And the hierarchy of needs says that, first of all, your basic needs need to be fulfilled. You first need to eat, you need to drink, you need air to breathe. So does money make you happy? Well, if you are still in this lower layer of Maslow, yes, money makes you happy, because this will make you happy because it buys you to the next layer of Maslow. Does money make you happy? No. If the lowest layer of Maslow has already been taken. And in that case, you rather need more of this than of this. I'm a psychologist, and by sheer coincidence, I ended up in banking, and secondly, I ended up in a small country called Monaco. And Monaco is a very tiny village with only 30,000 people, or at least officially 30,000 people. And I noticed when I came there is that all these rich and famous, because everybody in Monaco is either very rich or like me is working for them. But anyway, the people who live there, they're very, very rich. And I noticed that these people were not necessarily happy than the people that I saw in my hometown. So I thought, does money make you happy? The only person that I ever saw in Monaco that became happy of money was a beggar. Monaco is a very small place, and you can enter freely. But the moment you enter, there are at least 5 cameras that will see you, and it will take them about 3 minutes before they catch you. But in the 3 minutes that this beggar was indeed able to be in Monaco to beg in front of a shop where I was taking my lunch, he asked me, he said, "Can you please give me some money? I lost my job, I don't have a wife." And maybe out of guilt, I gave him some money. And indeed, he was happy with it. Does money make you happy? Yes, if your basic needs are not fulfilled. The biggest bonus I ever paid out in my life when I was working in the bank was around 2 million euro, net, after tax. And I still remember what happened when I came into the office of this guy. I gave him the envelope, he opened the envelope, and he saw the amount. 2 million euros. And he looked at me and said, "What did the others have?" He wasn't looking for more of this. He was looking for more of this. He wanted to be loved. He wanted to have recognition. He didn't need a beautiful house. He already had a beautiful house and a second house. He didn't need a car. He had a beautiful car and another car. He had a beautiful wife, and one of the greatest inspirators from my field of research between money and happiness is Daniel Kahneman. He's an American psychologist, and he did a tremendous research on the question, does money make you happy? And he came to this conclusion, is that in the United States, where he researched a couple of 100,000 people, and he looked at their salary, and he looked at the amount of stress, or did you smile today, or do you feel happy? What turns out? The people who are very poor, and don't forget, in a country like the United States, we're talking about 40 to 45 million people. If you give them a little bit more of this, it'll make them happy. But there comes a point, a tipping point in the graph behind me, and that's the point where your basic needs are fulfilled. And then you have rather more of this. So if you look at the pyramid of Maslow behind me, you can buy your stairway. You can buy from the first to the second layer. That is, you can buy that with money. But after that, anything else comes into play. So let me ask you a question. Are you happy? Are you happy with your lives? Are you in the lottery, maybe, hoping that you will win? Are you maybe looking for something huge that will make you happy because you'll get more money? I'll tell you, it's not going to happen. If you want to become happier in your lives, you probably don't need more of this. What you need is more of this. Thank you.